Hello and welcome to episode 44 of I Will Cast Anything. We're on Cloud Kingdom for a TVT. The red Terran player spawning in the bottom left hand position is PANsatyrLedr, and the blue Terran player spawning in the top right hand position is KilerStriker. PANsatyrLedr is asking what league KilerStriker's in. I can tell you that both of these players are in Bronze League, as KilerStriker just confirmed. PANsatyrLedr posted this replay on the Castit subreddit, which is where I've been getting quite a few replays for a while. Looks like Pan was a little bit worried that he might be facing up against a opponent from a higher league there. And yeah, this is the second replay of Pan's that I have cast. See Pan going for quite an early supply depot there. Not getting quite as many SCVs out beforehand. The Killer more traditional 10 depot timing. Yeah, so this is, sorry, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by supply depot construction. This is the second replay of Pan's that I have cast, and the first replay of his that I cast was the crazy missile turret versus battlecruiser game, which is one of the wackiest games I've cast so far. I doubt this one will be as crazy purely because I don't know of any game following the rocks again. Such a simple mistake to make. I don't know if any game could possibly equal missile turrets versus battle cruisers for craziness. That game was just bananas. Anyway, back to this game. Third in a row on Cloud Kingdom, so getting to know this map very well. You can see both players going for the supply depot barracks wall off, and we can see Pan sending quite an early scout in here, wanting to make sure that his opponent is not doing anything wacky. Oh, it might be. No, heading over to the corner there always makes me wonder if there's going to be a proxy play, but it doesn't look like it. Looks like this SCV is going to head off, and I think this SCV for KilerStriker is probably going to follow across the map. Nope. Looks like KilerStriker is going for the 1-racks expand here. We'll see if Pan follows suit. Both players going 15 orbital commands, which is sort of the bog standard Terran build at this point in time. Hasn't changed for a while. And just waiting. Has the minerals nearly... Oh, there we go. And we expect to see that command center come down. There it is. And PANsatyrLedr also going for the 1-racks expand. So both players pretty much mirror builds so far. Killer's got a marina. Hasn't built that second supply depot quite yet, whereas Pan has got that up. Both players on one marine at the moment. Both players starting to bring in those mules from their orbital commands to get that income up. And we see that Pan has taken a gas, but KilerStriker has not, so that could affect the early game significantly. Pan will be able to get an upgrade, probably stim one would expect, before his opponent will. But double gas, so Killer choosing to wait a bit longer before getting gas, but getting two at once, which is an interesting choice. Of course, the trade-off there is that you have to have more SCVs constructing at once, and you can see now 5 things in construction at once. 6, in fact, for Killer, so that's a lot of SCVs not able to mine. It's one of the things you have to balance as Terran in the early game, is trying to keep as many SCVs mining as possible whilst getting up the buildings that you need. So starting to see what the builds are going to be like now. We have 3 racks coming for Pan. And getting a factory as well. So getting lots of production facilities up nice and early. Only 2 racks at the moment for Killer, but has those 2 gas. So might be thinking about a starport play here, perhaps. Way to spend all that gas. Starting to work on this wall off here. Getting a defensive bunker down, and has a good number of marines out to load into that bunker when it is finished. Pan not going for a bunker yet. Starting to get mining at this second. See what the worker counts are doing at the moment. You can see that KilerStriker has a very marginal worker lead at the moment, but not anything significant just yet. Here comes that bunker for PANsatyrLedr. Always important to be defensive. And here's the tech lab. And here indeed is stim. So earlier upgrades for Pan. Has that second gas up. Has lots and lots of SCVs here, very well saturated on the main base already. And getting a tech lab, so not going for reactor to Hellions, but rather going up to, I would assume, Siege Tank, is Pan. And working on that Marine count as always. I want to be just churning out Marines as Terran, especially in a TVT matchup. Never want to be in a situation where your opponent has a ton of Marines and you don't in the early game. That would be bad. Reactor and Tech Lab coming down on those barracks for KilerStriker. KilerStriker does have a factory up, but not doing anything with it just yet. And getting an engineering base, so that's what that early double gas is going to be used for. Be able to get some weapon or armor upgrades early on. Stimpack's about halfway done for Pan now. Wonder if Pan might think about making a bit of a push when Stim finishes. And here comes that first Siege Tank from the factory and Siege Tech as well. There's also an engineering bay down over here for Pan, but nothing researched quite yet. And here comes the first starport for both players getting their starports at nearly exactly the same time there. It's interesting how that's worked out. So pretty even in structures at the moment, except I believe that Pan has one more barracks. Yes, one more barracks than Killer is the only difference so far in what's been chosen in terms of structures. And here come more barracks, so it looks like it's going to be tank and bio, I would guess, for Pan is the plan. 3 barracks, so going up to 6 barracks quite early on in this game. And I would assume that there would be a reactor put down, although I'm not sure you can put a reactor on this starport in the current position that it's in, but it might think about that in order to pump out multiple medvacs at a time, which is always useful. Double gas taken at the natural for KilerStriker, and more barracks coming, so trying to even up that barracks count a little bit, and also getting tanks, also getting siege tech, and +1 weapons coming down for both players at the moment. Looks like Pan got started on that quite a bit earlier than his opponent, but that advantage in getting stim earlier has not really been put to any use, because KilerStriker is going to have it before any major engagement takes place. You can see that Killer is again going with building a lot of buildings simultaneously, which means he does not have as many SCVs mining minerals as Pan does. Now it might seem like a pretty minor thing, but you can see it actually leads to a fairly significant difference in income, although mules do also play a part of that. It doesn't look like Killer is using mules, so got a lot of energy saved up. Might be hoping to use that for scans. That might just be a mistake. You never can tell. It is Bronze League after all. So this barracks wall off is up, and just huge marine production going on at the moment for Pan. Also getting that armory, so potentially going to be able to go straight on to +2 weapons. Getting combat shield, has moved this starport over a little bit to get that reactor and start pumping out 2 medvacs at a time. Here come those scans, so that energy was saved up for something. Wasn't completely useless. And seeing those scans, I think Pan is worried that there might be a drop coming in, has retreated his marines up to his main base. Always get a bit antsy when you see a scan go down, thinking, what could my opponent be trying to find out with that scan? +1 armor comes just as +1 weapons finishes up for his opponent. And neither player moving out of their base yet, just building up those forces, getting the marine numbers up, getting the tank numbers up, building a nice bank to work on to recover from any potential engagements. And both players also working on upgrades. So Pan does have a slight edge, starting most of these upgrades a little bit earlier. But both players generally getting the same upgrades at roughly the same time. Here comes a big drop, double medvac drop, both full of marines from Pan. And I don't know that Killer is expecting this. Where is the path that they're going to be taking into the back? Oh, he is expecting this. There's a couple of missile turrets here. 3 missile turrets, in fact. So I'm not sure how well this drop is going to be. Going to have to unload very, very quickly and then try and get into those workers. But the medvacs won't be able to hang around because they'll be taken out. Here comes the drop. Fire comes in. This medvac's going to go down before it even unloads. This one is going to manage to unload, but only 3 marines get out. They might kill a missile turret, but that is not a worthwhile trade. KilerStriker needs to pull something up here to deal with this, because workers are going to start to go down. There's 1, there's 2. Oh dear. I didn't think this drop would be terribly successful, but it's starting to look more and more worthwhile now. Lots of workers being killed. Here come the SCVs counter-attacking. They're going to kill this marine here. More and more of them are dying. This is not fantastic defense of this from KilerStriker. Oh, that SCV dies before he manages to kill a marine, and they are just dropping like flies now. Really should have brought some Marines up to deal with this. Oh, so many SCVs dying. Oh, it's just tragic. Finally cleans it up. 19 workers killed. Well, I didn't think that drop would be very successful because one SCV was taken out before it even unloaded, and only 3 Marines got out alive before the medvacs were destroyed. But 2 medvacs and 12 Marines for that many. Actually, wait, more than 12 Marines. I don't know. I'm not sure about that trade. That was a pretty large number of resources lost for Pan. But I guess disrupting the economy of your opponent that heavily this early in the game, probably have to say that Pan has the edge slightly in this game after that early bit of harassment and engagement. And Pan also has a significant worker lead here, a Marine lead. Killer is slightly ahead in tanks, but generally Pan ahead in supply, ahead in production, taking the initiative in this game, getting that second engineering bay to work on double upgrades, getting +2 infantry weapons, taking the gas at his natural expansion, and building a 3rd command center ready to float down here. Already has a couple siege tanks in place to defend, but defense not so necessary at the moment because KilerStriker is not doing anything, just sitting here building up units, building up an army, and building quite... Oh no! So many missile turrets. It's just... After the last game of Pan's, just slightly wary anytime I see a ton of missile turrets comes down. Just makes me slightly concerned. KilerStriker is getting into that double medvac production, and we see a bit of a move out here. This looks like it might be more of a scouting effort from Pan than a concerted attack. Not much that 4 Vikings and an empty medvac will be able to do attacking a base, but see what the plan is. There are Thors coming on the way from Killer, so we'll be able to shoot these out of the sky should they engage. What's moving out behind? A small Marine force. Oh, I said small Marine force. A big Marine force is coming. 63 Marines now moving out. Plenty of medvacs in support. Actually, wait, I tell a lie. There's only 1 medvac in support at the moment. There pops that Thor, and another Thor immediately training. More production buildings coming from KilerStriker, and has a lot of siege tanks here. Pretty well defensed, I think, at the moment is KilerStriker. Behind on upgrades, but doing pretty well. Just now getting the orbital command of that expansion. Here comes the push, shooting those medvacs out of the air, but the fire from those siege tanks is raining down and doing huge splash damage to those Marines. They'll have to leave. KilerStriker stims in behind, trying to catch up and pick out as many of those as possible. Takes out 1 Viking, gonna take out those 3 Marines that got left behind. But I think the rest of these forces will escape. Yes, it looks like they are just going to, although if that medvac hangs around too long, it will be in trouble. We'll have to see if KilerStriker goes for a counter blow here. Does have slight supply lead at the moment, but 10 Marines coming at once for Pan, so rebuilding quite quickly here. Trying to get some more tanks up, and Killer pretty much turtled at the moment. These 3 tanks did very well there. This one you can see 7 kills, 6 kills, 3 kills, so these tanks have worth their weight in gold sieged up at the entrance to the base here, able to take out pretty much the entirety of Pan's army as it came up that ramp. And now it looks like Killer is going to start working on a supply depot wall along here. So more defensive structures from the blue Terran player. Getting pretty busy up in this base up here. Really starting to work on those medvacs, queuing up medvacs even at the moment to support the Marine force. You can see that engagement really has pushed the resources lost in the favor of the blue Terran player. But in income terms, Pan has a significant lead here, has taken a 3rd base, mining heavily from it, didn't lose all those SCVs early on, has a lead of 10 SCVs at the moment, so really raking in the cash. That's not what I meant to press. Really raking in the cash is PANsatyrLedr, and +2/+2 has finished, +1 weapons only just starting for KilerStriker, so pretty hefty upgrade lead for the blue, for the red Terran player in the bottom left here. And starting straight away on +3/+3, so maintaining that upgrade lead. Here comes the 3rd base for KilerStriker. And about time it is to probably starting to mine out this main base here, unsurprisingly, at about the 20-minute mark. Is that a third engineering base? Oh no, sorry, that's KilerStriker only has one engineering base so far. Very much needs that second one, getting a second armory as well. And both players just building up units at the moment. Pan up to 160 supply, transferring SCVs down here, probably going to think about taking the gases at this third base pretty soon. Has plenty of siege tanks up here to defend what's going on, and has rebuilt, after losing a ton of Marines, has rebuilt very quickly up to nearly equal Marine numbers with his opponent, and has significant siege tank lead. And these Thors will be very, these Vikings will be very useful to knock the medvacs of his opponent out of the air, which will significantly reduce the effectiveness of the Marine force that he has in play. I thought that medvac might be taking this tank out for a bit of a ride, but just coming down here, siege up at the top, defend this ramp against anything that might be coming, but nothing is coming at the moment. Both players just heading towards maxed out. Pan is going to be maxed out with just a couple more, or one more wave of Marines will really put Pan pretty close to maxed out, so probably we'll think about pushing out then. KilerStriker not falling too far behind in the upgrade stakes, and working on some vehicle weapon upgrades now, as is PANsatyrLedr. And also working on catching up that SCV gap, closing that income gap, and KilerStriker's pretty close to maxed out as well. That is a lot of medvacs, it must be said. 11 medvacs here. You can see huddled beneath them a mass of Marines, and quite a few Thors here as well, which will be effective against the Vikings and medvacs of his opponent. And Pan now up to 193, needs to throw down a couple more supply depots, and then we'll be able to max out. And we'll see who pushes first. It looks like Killer might be thinking about it, has finished this slightly higgledy-piggledy, but nonetheless effective supply depot wall off. Going to leave a couple of siege tanks and a Thor at home for defensive purposes, and move out with this ginormous Marine force. Oh my. 82 Marines for KilerStriker, 102 Marines for PANsatyrLedr. Everyone likes Marines, and Pan's starting to get into the slightly more esoteric upgrades, getting that bunker capacity upgrade, Neo Steel frame, and getting that turret range upgrade, high sec tracking. Marine units filtering out one by one through this gap here to assemble over near that Zelnaga tower. And another command center going down here, potentially to be floated down to this position. This would be the more usual expansion for Terran to take as a fourth. That might just be a defensive planetary at this point, you never can tell. So Pan is maxed out now, KilerStriker is maxed out now. We would expect to see an engagement pretty soon. +1/+1 vehicle upgrades are finishing for KilerStriker, and +2 infantry armor, so we'll be +1/+1 behind on in the infantry front. There's the stim from Pan charging in, going to try and charge up this ramp. There are no siege tanks up here. It's going to be Marine on Marine violence. Oh, just masses and masses of death, but good stimming from Pan. But the reduced health is going to take a cost, and all these medvacs are healing everything up at the top of the ramp, and KilerStriker is going to hold this easily. Didn't lose too much there. Not a great engagement from Pan, trying to stim up that ramp into a pretty much equally sized Marine force, and now KilerStriker has a 30 supply advantage. Killed a lot of Marines there, and could think about pushing out, or maybe even picking up and dropping with this huge medvac force. Could also be very effective. Here come the Thors that were left at home, and more Thors being constructed, so replacing dead Marines with Thors, whereas it looks like PANsatyrLedr is replacing dead Marines with more Marines and Marauders, but getting that fusion core, getting 2 more starports. It looks like Pan is going to do what he did in the previous game of his that I cast, and head for battle cruisers. And why not, after all? There are quite a lot of missile turrets here. Not quite as many as there were in the previous game in which battle cruisers were employed, but still plenty of missile turrets to deal with, and plenty of Marines and Thors, so definitely won't be a walkover for Pan with those battle cruisers. KilerStriker has remaxed straight away, but isn't pushing out just yet, and Pan is taking this fourth at the slightly less usual position. We'll presumably morph this into a planetary, since it will be pretty exposed here. See this huge ramp that you can attack down, and multiple angles that you can come in at this base from, but Same can be said, this base is also, both fourth base is pretty hard to defend on Cloud Kingdom in general. There's that fusion core finished up, and we can see nothing left at the main, no gas, no minerals. No minerals left except for 2 shrinking patches at the natural expansion. Still a little bit of gas left for KilerStriker, who has got his maxed Thor Marine Medvac army in the center of the map. He's getting those last 2 infantry upgrades, getting +2 vehicle weapons, and here come the ship upgrades on the way for Pan, knowing that he's going to go into those battle cruisers before too long, getting those upgrades down, and getting the weapon refit. I can't actually remember what upgrade that is. Oh, it's the Yamato cannon upgrade, of course. Of course. Right, come on, Killer. You've got a 200 supply army. It's time to boogie, in this caster's opinion. Maybe waiting for some upgrades to finish up before pushing out. Planetary coming over here at this third base, and some missile turrets, so defending this third base is KilerStriker. And going for the orbital command over here has Pan, so this base pretty exposed. Killer, if he knew about this base, could sweep down and damage it quite quickly, and does know about it, so might be thinking about an attack there in the near future. Here come the first battle cruisers for the Red Terran. Not out on the field yet, but they will be coming soon, and here comes the push towards that fourth from KilerStriker. Has a lot of Marines, a lot of Thors. Oh man, 9 Thors, 69 Marines. And there is no hope for this orbital command whatsoever. Even if it picks up, it won't escape. It's going to die. These few SCVs here are also going to die. And that's the first significant bit of base damage that's been done by either player. We'll see if Killer chooses to push on up the ramp and try and attack further. Here is Pan's main force. We'll see if Killer is content to just contain his opponent for now, maintain map control, or if another push comes when +2/+2 and +3/+3 finish. But the longer KilerStriker waits, the more battle cruisers are going to be out on the field. 2 are out already, 2 more are training, and they've already got +1 weapon upgrades, so gotta be careful. Also gotta be careful attacking up this ramp, because there are 2 siege tanks at the top of it. That one Viking coming in there has done a lot of damage. Oh, it's stimming and running back and forth within range. No, no, KilerStriker, run away. Don't want to be dancing with any of those siege tanks, but there are no siege tanks over here. Actually, there's one siege tank. Oh, there are several siege tanks. Good siege tank coverage. We're taking out those rocks, and here comes the attack from KilerStriker. Thors go in first, attack from the siege tanks, then the Marines stim in behind, but there's a pretty good concave here. The Thors are targeting the medvacs, the Vikings, the battle cruisers come in as well, and I think Pan is going to push this back here, has a good position, has a good concave. Pretty much all the Marines are dead, only Thors left. Some of the battle cruisers have fallen, in fact one has fallen, but the Thors are dying back as well. Most of the Marines for Pan did die, but not enough of them. And Pan's moved his Vikings behind. Might think about landing them to surround this Viking, this last Thor, but doesn't. And Pan cleans up the attack. Didn't lose any tanks. Nearly lost this battlecruiser here. And this one down to orange health. Lost a lot of Marines. You can see only a pretty limited Marine force left underneath here for Pan, but 100 supply advantage all of a sudden. And now Killer very much on the back foot, has to try and rebuild, getting 2 Thors at a time, rebuilding a lot of medvacs, getting a ton more Marines, needs to maybe throw down some more barracks to increase that Marine production, or maybe just land this guy. He's not doing much for you at the moment, is he? But starting to run out of money is Killer at this point. Has quite a lot of minerals in the bank, but not much gas. No gas there. Nearly no gas here. Needs to think about taking a 4th pretty soon, I think KilerStriker does, but Pan is going to be remaxed on battlecruisers and Marines very, very shortly, and is getting that Behemoth reactor, getting ship plating 1, getting ship weapons 2. Pan rebuilding that 4th base to float down. Pan also pretty hard out for gas at the moment, but it looks like there's going to be a push from Pan. We'll see what there is to defend this. few Thors, not many tanks. Oh, there are a few tanks. 4 tanks up here. The Vikings go in to try and take out all the medvacs, but these medvacs got a bit ahead of the main force. Here come the battle cruisers though. They're going to be the main hammer blow force for PANsatyrLedr, but the Thors going to town. One has fallen already. The Yamato cannon blasts start to come in and chew through the Thors. Will this one last battle cruiser survive? I think it will. There's not much here besides Thors to challenge these battle cruisers. And the Yamato cannon just tearing through. 1 battle cruiser falls, 2 battle cruisers fall there, 2 remaining. Missile turret down here is doing a lot of damage. I think another battle cruiser might fall. It doesn't pull out now. Yes, it does. Only 1 remains, so pretty huge army trade there, but no real damage done to the base of KilerStriker. And this, 16 health. Thor's chasing after that battle cruiser. They're not going to kill it, but if these Vikings and medvacs are left here, they will die as well, and it looks like they might. Pan concentrating on trying to rebuild his forces at the moment. Well, KilerStriker held on there, but still very much behind in supply. Still going to be struggling for income on only 3 bases. The battlecruiser getting furiously repaired by 3 mules down here, churning away, looking faintly obscene. And battlecruiser production resumes in earnest for Pan. Has this command center ready, but hasn't floated it down yet, and already has 4 battle cruisers built back home, getting more ship weapon upgrades for them and rebuilding a lot of marines. It looks like KilerStriker is going to go heavy into Thors, having seen those battle cruisers, and doing a pretty good job of targeting them down, I have to say, in that engagement. See how well he can do the next time he faces them, because he surely will have to again. Pan already up to 163 supply, so maintaining that significant lead over his opponent, and will shortly have even more. Here we go. Here's another base for KilerStriker, hiding it up in the top left-hand position. Pretty clever move, I think. And Pan is going to retake this 4th. It'll be a lot safer this time, given that there's not much out on the field from KilerStriker. But Pan definitely needs this income, only building 1 battlecruiser at the moment. Doesn't have as much gas income as he would like, I feel, but just re-maxing so quickly. Marine counts fairly even. Pan has a lot of tanks, but is mostly using them for defense. They all seem to be lined up along the cliffs back at home, along this ramp here. Very solid defensive positions, but if they were to push forward with the main force of his army, I think they could be a very effective addition, especially with these battle cruisers in the air providing vision. Could really help against all of these Thors and Marines that KilerStriker has out. Now, does Pan know about this base in the top left? Does not, but I think is going to spot it. Perhaps Star Sense tells Pan there might be a base at the top left, or maybe Pan just thinks this is a good angle for attack. We shall see. Or maybe just hanging out here to defend this base position. You never can tell. Getting ship weapons 3. Getting ship plating 2. And here comes another planetary fortress for KilerStriker. Here comes 2 gas. But they're not going to make it, because this base is going to be destroyed before the planetary even morphs in. And I think a lot of SCVs are going to die as well. Yes, SCVs are being transferred over here. They are going to fall. And income is about to become a real problem for KilerStriker. No gas left at the natural, no gas left at the main, only mining on 1 base at the moment, and not for long if this push comes in, which it well might. I think KilerStriker might be thinking about taking a base in the bottom corner now, but also moving out with this army of Thors here. 10 Thors, but 8 battle cruisers. The math does not work out there. They will have missile turrets to help. Here comes the engagement. The Marines coming in, but so many more Marines for Pan than there are for KilerStriker, and they're up on the top of the high ground as well, doing a lot of damage. The battle cruisers are starting to fall down to just 4 already. Sort of combined splash damage from all the Thors really going to town on these battle cruisers, trying to use the Yamato cannon to take out this planetary fortress, knowing that it's the last mining base, but all these battle cruisers getting killed by the Thors with their upgraded weapons. Only 1 remains, and it's not going to last very long at all. Now it's just Marines on Thors. These mules are going to be useless. The Marines are going to die. and Killer suddenly is in the lead. That was a risky move coming around from this angle with his army from Pan, and was sandwiched between missile cannons on the one hand and Thors on the other, and Killer was able to mop that up. And once again, Pan is going to have to rebuild all of those battle cruisers. Killer also has a lot of Thors that need to be rebuilt, a lot of Marines that need to be rebuilt, and not counterattacking here, playing it cautious, waiting, but has no minerals left at this base. Retaking a command center here, but as of right now, 0 mineral income for KilerStriker. 0 minerals in the bank for KilerStriker. That is not a situation you want to be in. Looks like Pan is going to say, well, I wiped out your base up in this corner. I'll have it for myself, thank you very much. And taking a base here, so Pan expanding everywhere at the moment. Pan has also run out of minerals down here, so this is the only mining base at the moment. Way oversaturated with SCVs, but they're going to go off to other bases pretty shortly. And this base about to finish to KilerStriker to finally get some mineral income going, to finally rebuild some Marines, but looks like... no, I thought he was going to think about a drop there, but no. Just going to wait. And this base does finish up for KilerStriker, and finally the minerals start to flow. Finally, some production can resume. Pan remaxing on Marines and battle cruisers as fast as humanly possible, but keeps losing these battle cruiser armies, not doing a very good job of preserving them. But with the income disadvantage that Killer is in at the moment, it's going to be very hard for him to rebuild the Thor numbers necessary to face that battlecruiser army again, although I don't know if Pan is ever going to get up to those battlecruiser numbers again in this match. We shall have to see. KilerStriker also way oversaturated on this base, but that's what happens when you lose all your mining, and taking another command center. So both players in sort of recovery mode at the minute, trying to rebuild their economies, rebase, remax, and then think about attacking each other again. Gas is being taken at various expansions by Pan. Has some gases at the top and some gases over here, and gas is being taken by KilerStriker as well. Pan is heading towards maxed out again, just building Marines at a furious rate here, up to 91 Marines at the moment, and lifting up this barracks to let them out, so probably going to be moving out pretty soon. Another 2 battle cruisers just about to pop, and might be bringing the tanks this time. Pan thinking, right, it's time finally to go in for this. Blowing up that obstructing reactor there to make an exit for himself. Planetary finishes up here in the bottom right for KilerStriker. And here comes the tank force of Pan. Here come 2 more battle cruisers. I think we're getting close to the end here for KilerStriker. I can't see a way that he can come back. Has not been able to rebuild terribly quickly. Has repaired up some of these Thors, but not all of them, and has restarted construction, but building a lot of SCVs at the moment, which is maybe not the wisest choice, because units more important than income. Because coming across the map here, more battle cruisers, many more Marines, 91 Marines, 3 battle cruisers, 9 tanks, about to be 2 more battle cruisers. I don't think that Killer's Thor force is going to be enough to hold this back. Tanks are swinging up here, so I might send the tanks around the top. I might send everything around the top. We shall have to see what the angle of attack is, what the stratagem of PANsatyrLedr is to be for this final attack. A KilerStriker also remaxing now, finally able to get those Thors out, get some more Marines up. We'll see how long he can hold out against this attack. Has beaten off several attacks from Pan, but I think this last one is going to be the toughest. Here we go. Battle cruisers, medvacs, Marines. Only 2 missile towers left up here and a planetary, but no mining going on, so not a particularly valuable target. But I suppose any base is worth killing. Thor numbers getting up to 11 now, some of them on pretty low health. Oh, and moving towards each other. Here comes the engagement. These medvacs are out of position, they're going to fall pretty quickly, but there aren't that many marines. Good concave from Pan, and just massive firefight. These Thors up on the high ground firing down at the marines, doing a lot of damage. Stims going off from both sides. It's hard to tell who's winning here. It looks like it's pretty much even. Pan decides to pull away and hopefully try and lure his opponent down into range of this siege tank. This is a clever move, and the siege shells do get off one good hit, but only one. And Killer retreats. I think Killer did come off slightly worse in that engagement, but not massively. Down to just 9 Thors now, and only 3 battle cruisers over here for Pan. Lost quite a lot of marines as well, but didn't lose any of these tanks. They're just being sat here in a defensive position, and now Pan is going to push again, round at a different angle, I think. And this is going to be a better angle of attack for Pan. Thors are going to come in. The marines are going to spread out and run away. And now the Thors are going to be drawn up. If they get drawn up towards those tanks, that would be very bad, and Killer knows it, so he's hanging back. But the longer he waits, the more battle cruisers Pan is building. Both players' income situation is much better than it was early on. Both players mining off multiple bases at the moment. Killer says, I see, LOL. He knows that the tanks are up here. He knows what the strategy is. Try and lure him to his death, and he's not going to play ball. So see, Pan is going to have to come up with a different tactic. Looks like Pan is heading home at the moment. Maybe to hook up with the extra battle cruisers here, pick up a few extra marines, and attack from a different angle. We will see. Pan hasn't spotted this base here, or this base here, as of yet. Could easily take those out if he wants to, with this much more mobile army. The Thors, not really known for their high speed. Getting that strike cannon upgrade for those Thors is KilerStriker, always useful. And Pan waiting to remax again, waiting to get up to some higher battlecruiser numbers perhaps. Nope. Moving out. Going on the attack. Pan definitely has been the more aggressive of the two players in this game. Even when KilerStriker has wiped out his opponent's army, has not really pushed in much to counter-attack or anything like that. Just hanging out over in the corner here for the moment. Getting that ship plating level 3. I think Pan forgot about that one. It's the one that got away. It's the only upgrade for these battle cruisers that has not yet been gained. Oh, looks like there's a drop coming in to try and attack these tanks. This could be great from KilerStriker. The splash damage will cause them to damage each other pretty heavily, but he's dropping in the middle. You really want to drop on top of the tanks, and these marines just dying as they are dropped. That was not as effective as it could have been, and now the battle cruisers are going to come in. They're going to pick those out of the air, and that is a disaster for KilerStriker. Lost most of his marine force there. Now only has Thors, but look how many Thors he's got. 14 Thors. The marines are going to come up the ramp and spread out. The battle cruisers are going to come in. The Yamato cannons are going to start going off. There they go, and the Thors are starting to fall. I think Pan might just edge this. Needs to bring those tanks up in support, but there are enough marines here that, coupled with the battle cruisers, they're going to chew through these Thors, and that is pretty much the end of KilerStriker's fighting army on the field. This planetary won't last long against all these marines, and I think that is game over for KilerStriker. Pan can push in now and wipe everything out. He's going to drop some mules to fix up these remaining battle cruisers. Still building 2 battle cruisers at a time this whole time, but Killer trying to rebuild Thors at the moment. I think Pan needs to move in for the killing blow before that can happen. But holding back at the moment, protecting those precious battle cruisers, waiting for +3 plating. Here come the tanks. Okay, at long last the tanks are coming into play. in an aggressive fashion rather than as a purely defensive tool. They could siege up down here and use the vision of the battle cruisers to attack up onto the high ground if they wanted to. Oh, and here come the Thors, but I think the siege tanks are going to be more than a match for them in the position that they're in. The Marines are coming in as well. And the few remaining Thors are dying. There are some siege tanks back here for for KilerStriker, but they're not going to be enough. They're going to fall one by one. Battlecruiser is able to move up onto the high ground with impunity, and not much that siege tanks and Marines are going to be able to do against battlecruisers, although they might take down this one at the bottom. Oh, here comes the pickup. Pan dropping into the main base. These battlecruisers just holding off that force at the bottom for long enough. There's more battlecruisers coming in. Siege tanks protecting the flank, and now the drop is in the main. Now the production facilities are going to start to fall for KilerStriker, and now it really is over. Once KilerStriker can't make any more Thors. Oh, it's getting closer, but enough Thors going to come out of that one before it dies. The last few Thors down here are dying. The siege tank down here is dying. There are plenty of battlecruisers left alive. KilerStriker down below 100 supply now. These Marines just dying as they are constructed. Production facilities starting to fall, and Pan has won this game. I expect GG any second now from KilerStriker. Does manage to get one more Thor out. Not enough energy left for any Yamato cannon blast, unfortunately. It's pretty expensive, but they don't need it. They're just going to kill everything anyway. Marines are going to keep dying. The siege tanks have moved up. Pan only able to produce one Thor at a time now instead of the two from earlier, and there is GGG. Good game, says KilerStriker. Well played indeed, and well played indeed.